You look up at a towering glass skyscraper in the middle of an American city and see a monument to corporate stability. You picture owning that building, collecting rent checks from Fortune 500 companies locked into 10-year leases. It looks like a cash machine in the sky. But owning a commercial office building operates on a set of financial physics much closer to a high-risk bank than a passive income stream. To understand how these assets actually function, we are going to buy a hypothetical $100 million skyscraper. We need to look past the architecture and examine the math required to keep the structure from collapsing financially. Mapping out these numbers reveals why these towers are actually fragile volatility traps. You don't buy a $100 million building with cash. You put down $30 million in equity and borrow $70 million from a bank. Every dollar of rent collected must cover the debt service before you see any profit in your equity tier. This follows the same logic as the banking sector. Leverage multiplies returns during growth years, but it accelerates insolvency when the market shifts. The day you sign that 5-year commercial loan, a clock begins ticking. The building's survival depends on staying ahead of fixed costs and maintaining a steady stream of corporate revenue. Before you can collect that revenue, you hit a massive upfront cost. When a corporate tenant leases 50,000 square feet, they aren't moving into a finished office. They are leasing a raw concrete box. This requires a tenant improvement allowance. Modern companies demand custom build-outs, glass conference rooms, open kitchens, and specialized ventilation, and the landlord pays for the construction. At $150 per square foot, you shell out $5 million in cash just to secure the tenant's signature. It takes the first 3 years of rent payments just to pay yourself back for the build-out. Securing a new tenant represents a massive capital drain that must be managed before any actual profit can reach the landlord. Meanwhile, the physical demands of a skyscraper never stop. You have to keep the security running, elevators moving, and HVAC systems operating 24 hours a day, whether the building is full or empty. When you combine those physical requirements with your fixed mortgage, you create an inflexible monthly expense floor. If remote work causes occupancy to drop from 95 to 75%, your revenue plummets, but your fixed mortgage stays exactly the same. The shrinking revenue no longer covers the debt service, and the building bleeds cash every single month. This system has zero margin for error. A highly leveraged office building cannot survive long-term vacancy without draining its remaining capital. Fast forward 5 years to the critical deadline. Your commercial loan has matured, and you've hit the debt wall. You are forced to refinance, but the economy has shifted. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates, making the cost to borrow money significantly more expensive. Commercial assets are valued based on capitalization rates. As borrowing costs go up, the mathematical value of the building drops. Between higher vacancy and higher interest rates, the bank appraises your building at only $60 million. Because you still owe $70 million on the original loan, your $30 million equity investment has been wiped out. The math no longer works. You are technically insolvent, and you are forced to hand the keys back to the bank. Every glass skyscraper in the city center is a financial instrument in motion, fighting a relentless war to keep occupancy high and pray that interest rates don't shift before they can refinance.